Hi, welcome to chapter 1. So what we'll do is we'll go to week 1, and then we'll go to chapter 1 PowerPoints, and they'll come up here, and then we'll open it up. And there's chapter 1, management. Okay, so in this chapter, we're going to be able to describe what management is when we're finished the chapter, explaining the 4 functions of management, describe different kinds of managers, explain the major roles and sub-roles that managers perform their job, and explain what companies look for in a manager. So if you're thinking of majoring in management, or if you are majoring in management, this is the basics of what a manager is. Okay. It also discusses the top mistakes managers make in their job. It describes the transition that employees go through when they are promoted to management, and explain how and why companies can create competitive advantages through people. Okay. Getting the work done through others. So if you go back here to this one, it says the transition that employees make. So when you're an employee that's not a manager, you're usually doing the job. You're doing all the work. When you're promoted then to a management role, your job is to get work done through others. Now, many times, especially in the lower level management, you still have to do a lot of the work yourself. But it's starting the transition of trying to get the work done through others. You want to focus on efficiency and effectiveness to accomplish this. Efficiency is getting the work done with minimum effort, expense, or waste. Effectiveness is actually accomplishing the tasks that help fulfill organizational objectives. Okay, so you can be efficient without being effective, and you can be effective without being efficient. Because you can be effective but waste a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of expense. You can be efficient but have no consequence. Sort of like when you study, you can go through the book and say, okay, I've studied, and you were efficient because you went through the book really fast, but you weren't effective because you didn't really learn anything. Or you can write down every word that's in the book a second time, basically making another textbook and reading it over and over and over again until you effectively know everything that's in the book. But that wasn't very efficient because it might take you weeks to do that, and you would then not allow any time for your other courses or for anything else in your life. Okay, so you're trying to do both. Okay, so we go on here. Here's the 4 functions of management. You plan, you organize, you lead, and you control. Okay, so planning is determining the organization's goals. Organizing is deciding where decisions will be made, who will do the jobs, tasks, work for whom company. Inspiring and motivating workers. You can't really motivate people, but you can inspire them. Motivation is internal, like happiness. You can't make somebody happy, you can't motivate somebody, but you can inspire them. And controlling, monitoring the progress toward goal achievement, and taking corrective actions when needed. A simple example of this is when I worked in retail. Um, when I was first training on it many decades ago, my supervisor, the manager of the store, came in and he said the most important thing is to have everyone's assignment ready before they get there. So I went through the scheduling. I'm the one that did the scheduling as well, and I made sure that I had jobs assigned for each person that was coming to work that day, or at least during my shift, so that when they got there, they could punch in and they knew exactly what they were going to be doing because I already had it planned out. Okay, so that's the organizing part, and of course the planning part before they got there. Leading, I was usually out on the floor doing much of what they were doing, but also trying to stay available in case the customer had a problem or there was other situations that came up. And then, of course, controlling by being out on the floor, I was making sure that they were doing what they had been instructed to do. Okay, so these are the types of managers: top manager, middle manager, first line manager, and team leader. What I just described would be a first line manager. Top level managers are the executives, the CEOs, vice presidents, presidents, and the middle managers are responsible basically for doing what the top managers want through the frontline managers. And then the frontline managers are responsible for actually getting the work done that the middle managers told them to do. Okay. And then team leaders, if it's a large enough company, you have team leaders to get down even to a lower level. If there's many employees, a lot of times in manufacturing you see team leaders. Even in retail, you'll see it. There'll be lots of levels of management in places like Walmart and that type of thing. Yeah, the figurehead, the leader role, and the liaison. Figurehead just performs ceremonial duties. The leader role is the person who actually encourages workers to accomplish the organizational objectives. The liaison is the manager who deals with the people outside their unit. So if you're in charge of your customers or making sure that the products are what the customers had expected or things like that, that would be like a liaison. Then you have monitoring, disseminator, and spokesperson role. And then lastly, you have the entrepreneur, disturbance, resource allocation, and negotiator. Technical skills, this is at your frontline managers. They specialize in procedures, techniques. These are the people that normally are promoted from the actual hourly position, and they know the skills the best because they had just been doing them for usually several years. And then you have this human skills, ability to work well with others. Okay. Conceptual skills are the ability to see the big picture, understand how all the different pieces work together, and how it fits and how it is orchestrated so that you maximize profits. And of course, your inspiration. And then here you can see that as well. Your technical skills are the biggest for your frontline team leaders, first line managers, because they just got done doing that. Human skills have to be good across the board. Conceptual skills, again, your top managers, and then your middle managers are the best for the conceptuals. And then motivation, which again, it should say inspiration to manager for that. Okay. And then stages in transition, managers' initial expectations, then after 6 months, then after a year. Of course, this is all unique to the company. Some companies it takes much longer. Some companies it's much shorter. All depends on the type of industry you have. Okay. And then lastly, competitive advantage through people, your sales revenues, your profits, your stock market returns, and your customer satisfaction. All that goes through people. Because people usually like to deal with people that they like instead of people that they don't really care for. Um, and that increases your profits because they usually have a better relationship, keep customers happy, and then that keeps your sales going. And that's the end of chapter 1.